There are moments in life when nothing seems to make sense anymore. Plans fall apart, and things you once trusted don't hold. And the story that you've been telling yourself about who you are starts to break. And we call that chaos, but I don't necessarily think that's what it actually is. I think that it's the moment right before something starts to make sense. You may end up having an epiphany, which could potentially lead to a cathartic moment. You may possibly be so overwhelmed with emotion that it brings you to your knees, and you ask God, why me? Why now? But all the suffering that you've been experiencing isn't necessarily in vain. You've just been so focused on the pain and unwilling to let go of what does not serve you. There's this idea that you might hear it from physicists, mystics, and heck, even comedians like Bill Hicks, that everything is just energy, vibrating, fluctuating, ebbing, flowing, seemingly random at first, but really, maybe it's organizing itself into form. And if that's true, then chaos is not the absence of order, it is order, but you just simply can't see it yet. I remember a time in my own life when everything felt completely random. Things didn't work out, people came and went, and nothing connected. I kept trying to fix it, trying to force it into a box, into something that made sense, but it never did. Not in the moment, at least. Only until much later did I start to understand that everything was happening for a reason. I didn't see that those failures would ultimately lead me somewhere else. It led me to meeting individuals who eventually changed the course of my entire life. They changed something inside of me. And when I look back now, it wasn't random at all. I was exactly where I needed to be. And they had showed me parts of myself that I simply wasn't aware of yet. Everything that happened up until then was there for a reason. And all the pain, the guilt, the frustration, anger, and the sorrow, as well as the joy, the elation, the compassion, and the friendship and love. You know, Carl Jung believed that there are patterns underneath our lives, there's currents of energy, forcing and shaping what we experience, whether we're aware of them or not. The version of you that you show to the world, as well as the parts of you that you tend to avoid, are, they're there for a reason. And the moments that force these two things to meet, when that happens, it feels like chaos. But maybe it's not. Maybe it's restructuring. And maybe it's taking on a new form. And oftentimes when we feel like our lives are falling apart, they're actually coming together. Obstacles are being removed so that you can make space for something new. And maybe the reason it feels so overwhelming is because we think that all of this is permanent in the moment, that every mistake, every loss, every moment of confusion means something is going wrong. But Bill Hicks had a little bit different perspective. He said that it's just a ride, and we are the ones choosing how to experience it. And if you really let that land, then the chaos changes. Because if this is just a ride, then the moments that feel out of control, that they aren't the end of the story. They're just turns in the track. There's drops and loops, maybe blind corners that you simply didn't see coming. And suddenly, you don't need to make everything make sense anymore. You just need to stay on the ride long enough to see where it goes. And Bill Hicks also said that we are all just one consciousness experiencing itself subjectively. And if that's true, then, well, maybe your life isn't so random after all. Maybe it just feels that way because you're inside of it. And, well, like trying to understand a painting from an inch away, you can't see the patterns. But if you step back, if you take a moment to realize that there might be a pattern that you're not seeing yet. So maybe the moments that feel the most chaotic aren't your life falling apart. They're your life rearranging itself and into something that you just can't see. And so I encourage you to take a look at your life, to take a look at the patterns, and to see the cycles. And there might be a cycle that needs to be broken. You don't need to control it. You don't need to force meaning upon it. You just have to stay with it long enough to recognize the pattern into something coherent. I encourage you to look at your own life and find those patterns and connect the dots. I'm Justin from Chaos Made Coherent. Thanks for joining me today, and I'll see you next time.